keep talking about my theory of games and how I have been found the possibility of or the ways to understand um, the way God works in the world, and I'm using apologetics and to understand the eschatological results of the reality that we already have. So, what I'm doing is using philosophy to understand God, basically. And by doing that, I am not saying that what I'm saying is perfect or exactly the truth. It's just a way that I explain myself why is happening what is happening. I am asking to persons many times, incluyendo or including incluso even persons of the church, uh, that I know probably these topics are little um, like a topic that probably they don't want to talk about, but I think because of the authority they have, they may be able to see if this is right or wrong. The funny thing is that they never answer me, and it's interesting because I've been trying to work with this theory and trying to understand the world and the corruption and all the system since many years ago, and I haven't had any answer. So even if I'm doing wrong, um, probably this whatever I'm saying, it's something that probably nobody cares about, probably, or it's so relevant and so important and reveals so many truths that are uncomfortable to support, to say, that they are not able to freely say that's right or that's wrong. So that's the whole possibilities of my theory. I'm not saying that this is the truth revealed and that's why people want to silence it by don't make any critics, because probably I'm just a crazy woman that says a lot of things and that nobody cares about what I'm saying. So that's a possibility too. But it's interesting because what I'm saying has coincidence with the truth and what is revealed in the Bible more than what um, any other theory of mix of rituals in a false ecumenism can have. So, but anyway, I will let the time and the real truth to be revealed by itself to tell me what I'm saying is right or wrong. Well, to get in the topic I want to talk about this in this audio is it's about the chosen, the persons that have been chosen to represent God. And this is something that I already said before in another video, but I want to say it in English. Um, the possibility, probably God was thinking, and on the persons, the first persons that have been chosen to represent God probably were the persons that were the less eligible to be representatives of God, because they were just interested in money, interested in power, interested in have the leadership over others, so they will feel like they have to be the representatives of God so they can push others to do whatever they want. But God allowed them to do that because they will have their straight to keep doing what they are doing because they have a motive, they have a move, they have a feeling that was the right thing to do. And for doing that, you need to be really not humble to be a representative of God. If you have a group of persons and say, well, we need a representatives of the dirty, we need representatives of the water, we need representatives of the food, and we need representatives of God. The one who say I want to represent God, it has to be not humble. I mean, we have to we have to say that that person has not humbleness. I mean, it has to be a person who, in some secret uh, part of his soul, he thinks that he's God, or he can be representative of God. Of course, he has to have an exterior of humbleness, but you have to be a little sober, or you have to be a little not humble for that. It's a joke, but what I'm saying at the end, it will get some sense. Um, the reason why we are the all the persons that have been represented God in times, it's probably because God want them to don't represent them well. And that was that the angels didn't understood from the beginning, and that's why the angels see that God probably was cuckoo, or was a crazy man, because how can he make others represent him with such a low dignity, with such a low understanding of what perfection was? But God allowed them to do that because he needs to touch every single soul in the whole world, and see how, and make them see how important it was for him to release the knowledge about how everyone is a representative of God. So when we have news about priests doing orgies or doing abuse of childs, we think that that's a really bad thing. We know that they are not the only ones in the world who were doing orgies or abusing child, but it's so surprising or so horrible for us to see, or impact has a lot of impact, because we know that those persons are representatives of God, and if they are representatives of God, they're son of God, and a son of God should not be allowed to behave that way. We know there's extreme parties around us, and there will be a lot of persons doing wrong, but when we see a representative of God doing that, we think he shouldn't do that. And it's right, we are right. And probably what God was trying to tell us with that was that they see themselves bad because they're doing wrong. But we all are representatives of God. We should understand how important it is for God to have his image on us, and we have to represent him well. The newspaper, the news, or any other journalism won't feel like he's having a great news if he is just saying that there was an extreme party close to his house. But if he says it was an extreme party with orgies and child abuse performed by the representatives of God, priests, or persons in hierarchy, he will have a big news, because that's something that the persons shouldn't be doing. God, at the end, he wants to show us how important it is for us to see that we are all representatives of God. And because of that, we all see ourselves really bad when we don't behave the way we should. And that's why he did that. I love that concept of coexistence that came from Leonardo Polo, that says that for some reason we are coexistent with God. The way I want to explain that is with numbers. I am the zero, I am the nothing, and God is the everything, the perfection, ontologically perfection, and he has everything. He thinks on me and I exist. But he doesn't give me all his existence. He only gives me 1%. But with that percent, he gives me a minus 99% of 30 of that perfection. And that's my life project. That's the open project that he gives me. He allows me to dream about being like him. And at the end, we'll be like newborns with her mother, that we feel like we are one thing with our mother. We don't see the differences, but we won't see the differences between God and us, because God and us, we're going to be one thing. Or if you don't want to talk about don't want to talk about God, you can see it as a perfection. So you're going to see the perfection and you as one thing. You're going to be one thing with perfection. But you're not going to be the perfection. You will keep being the nothing. But because you're hugging the perfection, it's like a mother, like hug his son. He has food, he has everything with her, and together they don't get boring because one have another, and they're good with each other. With that, they have everything. They don't need nothing, and they feel enough or satisfied with themselves together, and that's heaven. That's the essence of heaven. But we're going to, it doesn't gonna be our mother. It's gonna be God, the one that really has everything. So we're not going to be gods, but we're going to be hugged by God or hugged by perfection, and we're gonna have them everything. What happened at the beginning was that God trying to give all his essence to a person, but he thought that he was God, and because of that he got a big mistake by believing that he was God, and because of that took that out from the paradise, so they won't be able to touch the tree of the life. They were only allowed to touch the tree of the knowledge of goodness or badness or evilness, and he preserved that tree of life, that I believe is a woman, that is the church, that is going to be able to give the real life to others from the dead that became with that first sin. This is important to know because we have to understand how freedom works. The person is allowed to have most of the perfection in time and space in earth, so he will have an essay, or he will play, and God will know by that how much of his essence or how much of his perfection is able to have without being mistaken with his and not being humble and make a mistake like the first sin. At the end, God found out what's the beauty of that person, and how much of essence of God can he have without turn himself in a evil or something that is not humble enough to understand his greatness. And that's it, and that's the moment when the person die and he go to heaven, and there they're going to have all the essence or the perfection he could have, because his person was able to absorb or to hug that quantity of perfection. And that's it, I think.